Well, the word racist or racism was used 936 times in the second round of Democratic presidential debates this week. Okay, it only seemed like that many times. So what's a conservative or libertarian or anyone else than a leftist to do when such a vile accusation is made? I mean, this is something that used to be considered a blood libel to call someone a racist. Now it's an everyday occurrence. Well, LibertyNation.com chief political correspondent Graham Noble has written about this, and he joins us now. Hello, Graham.
Hello, Tim.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so I appreciate you joining us. I thought what was notable in these debates, which nobody paid much attention to, was the hapless co-moderator Don Lemon employing the adjective racist to Trump's recent tweet about Baltimore as fact, not opinion. He didn't say, some people are saying that, but he treated it as it was racist, period. Now, you wrote about this type of race baiting that we saw in the debate and that we saw from Don Lemon in an article on Liberty Nation entitled "Conservatives Stop Running from Race Baiters." And you describe people who recoil when being accused of racism as yellow bellies. So how then should conservatives most constructively respond to the constant taunts about being racists?
Well, I think, of course, one thing they could say is, well, if I am, then what are you? But that doesn't quite have the effect.
I know you, like the schoolyard taunt, I know you are, but what am I? Yes.
Exactly, yeah. But I think really what they should do is first of all, they absolutely need to stop this reflexively going on the defensive whenever anyone accuses them of racism, because it's just nonsense, and anyone with any sense realizes that these labels, these insults such as racist, homophobe, xenophobe, Islamophobe, you name it, they are all used purely to silence those people who do not agree with the progressive so-called social justice agenda. And I really think that what Republicans and conservatives should do when they are faced with these kind of labels, particularly the racism label, is simply turn around and say, look, what exactly have Democrats ever done to improve the lives of African Americans, particularly those in these inner city, horrible, crime-ridden districts? What have Democrats actually done, considering that they have run many of these districts for 40, 50, 60 years, virtually one-party rule over these kind of areas and certain cities and certain districts? What have they actually ever done to improve the lives of these people? Because, there's a lot of high-minded talk about institutional racism and systematic racism, and there's a lot of rhetoric, but there's no actual actions to back it up. The Democrats are simply unable to say, well, we've improved the lives of African Americans, by doing X, Y, and Z, because they have not.
Yes, it is notable, Graham, that in all the talk about Trump being a racist because of his tweet about Baltimore and, singling out people of color like Elijah Cummings and the infestation of his districts and everything, I mean, they haven't even debated the facts of what Trump said, have they?
No, and indeed, and that's part of the big problem here, is that Democrats are completely unwilling to acknowledge the terrible conditions in many inner city neighborhoods and districts in this country, and that in itself, to me, is concerning. It's troubling that they won't, that they'll kill the messenger, but they're not interested in hearing the message or addressing it.
Now, has the word racist been used so often by the left? I mean, it was used dozens of times in these debates. has it been used so often that it's lost its meaning?
Yeah, I really think it has. I mean, it's actually appalling that they use this word so often, because it's, there's that kind of old saying, when, if everybody's a racist, then nobody's a racist.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And, racism does exist. I would certainly suggest that, there are people in this country not just this country, but across the world. There are people of all colors and ethnicities who are racist. But there's certainly no denying that there are white people in the Western world who are racist, flat out. You can't hide from that. But this idea of basically labeling everybody a racist purely because they point out certain real world problems is just ridiculous.
Now, Joe Biden continues to hold a healthy double-digit lead in the Democrats' presidential race, despite, being Joe Biden. He's still leading. Do you think anyone knocked him down a peg in the second round of debates this week?
I really believe that he took quite a beating in that debate from several people. I mean, I think we all anticipated that Senator Kamala Harris would go after him because obviously she is kind of up there close to the top, 3 or 4 front runners. Also, Senator Booker went after him. Senator Gillibrand went after him. He really was a man, as I said in my article, he walked onto that stage with a target on his back. And I really think I've noticed that in the media, a lot of left-wing political pundits have tried to suggest that actually he did pretty well in that debate. I don't really think so. I don't think he did well at all. I don't think he effectively defended himself. He was on the defensive the whole time. And I personally believe that his poll numbers are going to decline over the next, couple of weeks as a result of that poor debate performance.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think Biden's lead, which continues to be in double digits, I mean, he's up by about 15 points on average in the respectable polls, do you think that lead is mostly a function of A, his own merits, B, his own relative moderation, C, a pure name recognition, or D, the weakness of the rest of the field?
I think it's partly a product of all of those factors except A, his own merits. Joe Biden is the only guy in this race so far who combines a good chance of becoming the nominee with a relatively moderate platform.
I can't disagree with that. Graham, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Tim. Thank you.
Graham Noble, chief political correspondent for LibertyNation.com.